The people making Monaco take the mic. I'm Nancy Heslin, and welcome to Monaco Info, the podcast. She started playing the mandolin at age 5, studying at the Rainier III Music Academy, and even recorded with the Monte-Carlo Philharmonic Orchestra. These days, the Monegasque is better known for serving tea and her strong attachment to the community. Although after a fire swept through her home, she is starting to believe life is leading her in a different direction. And a cigar box plays a big part in that. Welcome the tea shop owner, Sharon Eastwood. Hi, Sharon. Welcome to Monaco Info, the podcast in English.
Hi, Nancy. Thank you for having me.
We have been Facebook friends for years, and yet we've never met. And I really feel like I need to apologize to Geneviève Berti, who is the host of the podcast, the Monaco Info podcast in French and for Monegasques, because you and I, we've always communicated in English. Your name is Eastwood, and then I find out you're Monegasque.
Yes, it's true. Well, people are generally mistaken because my name is a false friend. But actually, my husband's grandfather was British. He was from Birmingham, and he came to Monaco when he was 4 years old. So after that, my husband's father was born in Monaco, and my husband was born in Monaco too. So.
But do you speak English at home with your husband? Is he English speaking?
No, not at all. No.
Really?
No.
Not even with your children?
No.
So why is your English so good?
I was in the international section in Monaco, so that's we had English native teachers. So
I was thinking back to the first time we met was actually 2017, and it was a sad occasion that we made initial contact, and it was when Paul Pedavino died. And Paul had Duchenne muscular dystrophy, and I think he died just before his 21st birthday. I was writing an obituary in English because he had been a former student of mine at the journalism school in Nice. And you wrote, Paul was truly an exceptional person, a lesson in love and goodness. That must have been a really tough time for you. How did you know Paul?
yes, it was. Actually, I used to babysit Paul and Tess. I was their neighbor.
Tess is his older
sister, yes. And then when I came back, I would see them all the time when I came back. And he used to come to the tea shop and have a drink. And one day he showed me his pictures.
Photographs?
Yes, photographs, okay. Yes. And I found them very interesting because the point of view was really different. They were taken from the wheelchair. So I said...
He was in a stand-up wheelchair mostly,
Yes,
right?
yes. But he would stand up and sit and the point of view was really original. And sometimes I exhibit artists at the tea shop, and I said, okay, well, we should probably try to do an exhibition, and that's how it went.
He was a pretty remarkable human being.
Yeah. No, he was what he was going through, and he was really passionate about journalism, about his radio, because he had a radio podcast as well, and he was an artist too. Yeah. When
he was at the journalism school and he was one of my students, the thing that struck me and the reason I was so moved by his death was because, he had challenges in life, all his life, and he would come to class and he never complained. He always did assignments. He always helped other people. And sometimes he was so sick. And he would still make the effort. He would still hand in his assignments. Where, I had other students that wouldn't hand anything in because they said, I couldn't find a piece of paper to print my article.
Yeah, that's right. He never complained. Always happy, always smiling.
Always smiling, yeah. Yeah, it was a loss for everyone. And you were born in Monaco?
No.
Okay.
I grew up in Monaco, but
okay.
I was born in Caen. That's in Normandy. Mm-hmm. Because my father was studying there. And then they came back, and
You came here at what age?
2 years old.
Oh, so you were really from here.
So, but my parents were from here. Well, not really, but they came here, and I grew up here. So it's.
And do you then? I mean, you knew Paul Pedavino and the Pedavino family. Did you, growing up here, you must know everybody then?
Yeah. Well, Monaco is like a village, so we kind of know everyone.
And is that a good thing?
Yeah. Honestly, it's good to know that you can rely on people in Monaco, and there's always a friendly face.
Did you grow up thinking, I want to live in Monaco and I want to work in the government, or I want to work in radio here, or did you grow up thinking I want my life outside of Monaco?
Well, actually, I wanted to teach, so I studied English literature and then music too. And but when I was 20, I moved. We moved. I followed my husband. He was in the French army. So he moved to Pau in the Pyrenees.
You were married at 20.
21.
Wow.
So I followed him. That was a year before we got married. And
that must have been a little bit of a different lifestyle than Monaco.
Yeah, completely. And yeah, it was really different. But it was the first time going away and from my parents. And
were you nervous about leaving?
No, I was
secure
excited.
here.
I was excited. I was really happy to come back for the safety reasons, but I was really excited to leave. And
how did you meet your husband here?
Oh yes, I was a student at the Lycée Albert Ier, and he was a surveillant.
But he grew up here, born here, speaks French, so you
Yes.
were very well connected. Was it a love at first sight?
Yeah.
So you moved to, at 21, you moved to Pau, and how was that for you? What did you do there?
I continued studying English and music, and I worked as a English teacher and a music teacher.
How was that?
Well, I really didn't like the experience. So.
Oh, tell me, why?
I was too young, and the kids were really taking advantage of me. So
it's hard, when you find something you really want to do, and you're young like that, and you have an opportunity, and it's great because you can test it out without committing to it for your whole life. But kids can really be difficult when you're young and not experienced.
Yes, and I thought I wanted to be a teacher because I like tutoring, because I would do tutoring here in Monaco. And one-on-one is fine, but when it's like a whole classroom and really I was young, so no.
So you decided no more, I don't want to be a teacher.
Yeah, exactly. And then I had my kids. So, well, for a few years I looked after the kids.
But you and your husband traveled around in France. You didn't just stay there indefinitely.
No, well, the girls were born in Pau. And my husband, he got the opportunity, because he was a helicopter pilot, and he got the opportunity to become a plane pilot. So he went to Lille to get the training, well, near Lille. And I stayed in Pau, and then he got a position in the French army in Rennes, in Brittany, and that's when we moved to Brittany.
And how did you end up coming back here then from that?
Well, after 15 years.
It was 15 years?
Yeah, all in all, it was 15 years. So, well, the kids were, I think, 6 and 8 when we came back. And, well, we wanted to come back and raise the kids in Monaco because it's a safer place. And
But Lille and Rennes, they're such different parts of the country of France to live and experience. Did you enjoy that?
Oh, yeah. We have so many lovely memories in Rennes. Yeah. Lille, I didn't live in Lille, just my husband. But in Rennes, it was really, we still have friends. And, yeah, it's very peaceful, green. And
Really? But you really studied English a lot in your life, and you told me that you got also a degree for literature and culture.
Yes, arts management, and that was when I went to Rennes. The kids were in school, and I resumed my studies. So I did a master's degree in.
Why?
Yeah.
Why specifically that? Like, was that supposed to take you in some certain direction with a career, or?
Not really. I mean, I'm a wait-and-see person, so I just I found out about this training. I said, okay, I should do that, and then that's it. I obviously had in mind that when I would come back to Monaco, it would be useful at some point.
But you actually studied the mandolin from age 5, and you studied at the Rainier III Music Academy, like pretty much until you left Monaco as a teen.
Yes. Actually, it's funny because I wanted to learn how to play the violin. I didn't know about mandolin, so but the class was full, and the mandolin teacher, she came and played a banjo tune, and it was really, and I got hooked, and then well.
But why music? Where does music come from? In your family? Is someone musical?
No. Well, actually, my brother now, he's a professional musician, but no one before us was in the music. So
because the mandolin has quite a specific sound.
Yes, and it's like the local instrument, so it's that's why I think I got really Yeah.
Did you go and play concerts just in Monaco, or was that something like what is the academy teaching you?
Oh, we had obviously mandolin lessons, chamber music lessons, orchestra, and with the orchestra, it's a plectrum orchestra. So we did a few concerts in the region. Yeah.
But is it something you do after school, or this was you go to school there as well and study and then also have music?
No, since I was in the international section, I couldn't be in the music section, so I had to do it after school.
Oh, I didn't realize that. You can only have one alternative then.
Yes, so that's why I went to the music school after school.
Did you find like being in that kind of a community of young people because you all shared an interest? Like, did you make friends? Did you play off like together, go and play just for fun, or was it play music together?
Yeah, well, I made friends. I still have some friends from back then. So it's
did any of them go on to be professional musicians?
Yeah.
Here?
Well, in the region, yes.
Because you actually played well, you said that it was a CD that you guys recorded with the Monte-Carlo Philharmonic Orchestra for Romeo and Juliet.
Yes, that was for the Ballet de Monte-Carlo. Actually, they were looking for, they were recording a CD. I think that's because when they were going on tour, they needed the CD because the orchestra couldn't go all the time. And the teacher, our teacher, mandolin teacher, she said, okay, well, maybe you should record with we were like, I think 2 or 3 to record, the serenade. That's the under the balcony.
Yeah, I mean, that's the most iconic moment of Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, and I still have the tune in mind. I remember it's a cool tune.
But you must have been really, I guess stoked is the word I think of, but when as a young person to be asked to play that for such a famous moment in the ballet.
Yeah, completely. And well, I didn't feel any pressure, but yeah, it was like something big because I was 16. So it was.
Why didn't you pursue music?
I don't know. I wanted to at some point, but I was drawn to many things. So
like what?
Like knitting, tea. I have so many passions.
Well, the tea shop is quite interesting. And this was another reason I thought you were British, because it's Le Tea Shop. So I thought, well, surely that's a British person playing with French. You opened the tea shop when?
That was 10 years ago. Well, we had just come back to Monaco. I worked for maybe a year. And I was thinking, it's just such a shame there's no like real tea place. You can buy the tea and enjoy a nice cup of tea. So I said, okay, I should do it.
Because you're a tea connoisseur.
Well, yes. I mean, I don't really like the word connoisseur because it means like you're really...
You think it's your ego? No.
Yeah, but it's I enjoy tea and like more an amateur.
Never been a coffee drinker. I'm always amazed that people have never ever had a cup of coffee.
Never.
Why?
Well, I love the smell of coffee. I love the smell of roasted beans, but I love tiramisu. I like, coffee ice cream, but the coffee itself, I just can't. But probably I haven't tried a good coffee, that's why.
What makes a good cup of tea?
Well, it depends. There's 3 criteria. There's the water, the quality of the water, the temperature of the water, the amount of tea you put in the teapot, and, well, also the time.
But the quality of water, how do you control that? Do you have to test the quality of water in Monaco?
Yes, well, I have a reverse osmoser, I think you call it. So, well, I have, good quality. It's not hard. It's really good.
How did you decide what kind of teas to serve? I mean, because I would imagine there would have been a market here. I mean, people, if there wasn't anything at the time.
Well, to be honest, I only serve teas I like. But yeah, sometimes I have to choose teas that I know people will enjoy, but I can't sell a tea if I don't really like it. So yeah, I select the teas.
How many do you sell? How many types of tea?
About, depending on the time of the year, I'd say 150, 170.
I went to Marlowe, the new British restaurant by SBM, and I was doing an interview with them, and I was very pleasantly surprised when they said that for the afternoon tea time, they're working with the tea shop. I don't know why. I guess I expected that they would work with like a known exterior international brand, but that must be a really big deal for you.
Yeah, and it's a very exciting adventure. Actually, they contacted us, the SBM.
Really?
And I met with the team, and
Because they thought you were British, right?
no, no. But yeah, they told us about the concept, the Marlowe concept, and we felt it was such a good idea to have a British venue in Monaco, and serve like British dining and tea, like the real tea time. And well, their menu is really exciting, so it's mouth-watering. Even the cocktails, they use our teas in the cocktails.
Oh, I tried the milk punch. I think your tea is in the
Yes.
milk punch. I mean, you can only taste it to understand how good it is, and also just taking a sniff of it, you'll be happy.
Yeah, I had friends go there and tell me it was really.
What you've been to Marlow? What do you think of not the food, but just when you walk in the door?
Yeah, I have been when I was training the team for the tea, but I haven't been since because we had kind of a setback in January. But I am planning on going for like to enjoy the menu.
What do you have to train? What do you mean you have to train?
Just to show them how to brew the tea and
Really?
yeah, and well.
I mean, I can't just brew tea.
No, you can, but I mean, it's interesting to know where it comes from, to know the story behind the tea. So that's one thing I like to do when I work with.
Can you give me an example? Like, I'm not a tea drinker, so what would be the example of the backstory of a type of tea?
Well, sometimes there's like anecdotes, like Earl Grey, the bergamot tea. Well, supposedly it was like I think a Russian lord, not a lord, but a Russian Tsar, traveling with a can of tea, and he had left 2 bergamots in the can of tea, and he completely forgot. And when he arrived, maybe a few days later, to where he was supposed to go, he was with a lord, Earl Grey, and the tea smells so good with
Wow.
with the bergamot that he decided to call it the Earl Grey.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's probably a legend, but and there's always something interesting to know behind the tea, how you brew the leaves, and yeah, it's.
So I did cut you off there. What was your impression of Marlow then when you went in there was it the kind of place that you think, wow, this is really different from Monaco?
Yeah, and it's like a place you feel at home. I mean, you walk in and it's yeah, it was mind blowing. It was incredible.
Are you working with Brian? the
Yes,
director?
yes.
He's fantastic.
Yeah, and he used to work in London, I think. Yeah.
No, I'm really impressed that SBM has brought someone in specifically for the new restaurant and not promoted within, because Brian lived, I think, in London for 6 years, and he's really attached to the British culture, the British lifestyle, and he wants that to succeed. I get that impression.
Yeah, he does, and I'm really confident it will be a success.
Yeah, no, I think that will be fun. You must have seen like a lot of restaurants, because you grew up here, a lot of restaurants that come and go, right? That have opened and closed or been successful and just sort of disappeared. Like, what makes a restaurant in Monaco successful?
Oh, that's a tough question. I'd say it's well, obviously there are some financial reasons, and it's not very cheap to to launch a business here. But I'd say probably also the quality, and even the owners. The energy you put in the project, and yeah.
Do you make an effort to connect with your clients that come into the tea shop?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, that's important to create a bond, and then people come back, and that was one thing I really enjoyed with the tea shop, because now I'm at the Super Boba for now, but I try to be in between the two shops.
We'll come back to that, because you opened a second location with something different. But who were the clients, or who are the clients, the nationalities that come to the tea shop? I'm just curious, because it's in Place des Moulins, so I'm interested to know who comes.
It's actually a mix. I mean, there's locals, of course, but locals are mainly in Condamine, I'd say. And but yeah, they come to the tea shop, and also like international community. We have lots of English, Russians, Italians, even Italians. Yeah, they drink coffee, but they also drink tea.
But they're coming in to drink with you, or they're coming to take tea away?
Both. Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel pressure or some kind of stress being a business owner?
Well, not until I opened the second place. Until then, it was really okay, and well, it is still okay. But I mean, having to deal with the two shops, it's yeah.
And is it just you? Or do you have people working for you?
I work with my dad.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's at the tea shop for now, but he's retiring next year. So yeah.
I would imagine there is a lot of financial pressure because you have to sell, and you seem very relaxed about it.
Oh yes, well, I take things as they come.
Is there an association or a community here for people that have businesses, either any business owner in Monaco or specifically for restaurants, cafes? Do you get together with other owners?
Yes, there is. There's the UCAM, it's the Union des commerçants et artisans de Monaco. There's something specific for hospitality, but I don't remember the name. I'm not affiliated because I'm kind of in between. I'm not really a restaurant. I'm more a shop. So, and there's also the développement économique.
You feel supported?
Yeah, the support. Yes.
So, I want to talk to you about the second shop that you opened then in July. Why did you decide to open another spot? You're down on Princess Caroline now. It's called Super Boba.
Yes, it's Super.
What
Boba.
is this name, Super Boba?
Boba. It's the name. It's the name for bubble tea.
Okay,
Yeah.
What is bubble tea?
Bubble tea. It's a funny drink. It's popular in Asia. It's tea or milk tea with tapioca. So the tapioca bubbles, they're called boba, which actually means big boobs.
Oh, okay.
In Chinese.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's why it's Super Boba. All right, from Monaco, well said. So what is it that's so popular? Why is it so popular? It's for young people.
Yeah, for young people, but I also have even grandmas.
Really?
Yeah, they come with their grandchildren and they enjoy bubble tea.
What flavor? It's just tapioca?
No, the tapioca, it's the bubbles, and then we have different types of teas like matcha lattes. It's either a latte with the tapioca or iced tea. So we have like jasmine, peach tea, mango tea.
Because you don't serve any food at Super Boba.
Only mochi and taiyaki.
So why did you open a second shop? You're just doing that well with the tea shop, and you're like, let's go for another location in the condominium.
Well, I know, because I always like to have new projects and new things in my life because I'm like a creative mind. Well, we learned that the Collège Charles III was going to move. I was like, okay, that's...
That would affect business at Place des Moulins.
Yes. And also we wanted to have a more central location. And, well, to me, La Condamine, it's really the place to be. So it's we were looking for the location. We found this one, and I said, okay, let's go for it.
As a kid, where did you hang out in Monaco? Like, were shops and things different than you remember now? Yeah,
well, there was a skate park.
Where was that?
There was one in Fontvieille and also at the Larveteau.
Really?
So, yeah, I would hang out there. And there was also, I think, what was a snooker pub or Flashman, the snooker pub in the Rue Caroline, I think, also.
Wow.
Yeah.
So things have changed.
Yeah, they have.
But it's a good location because there is a lot of passerbys that you'd maybe not get where your tea shop is.
Yes, definitely. That's the thing with the Place des Moulins. There's no real attraction for tourists, so it's we don't have tourists. A lot of tourists come to Place des Moulins, so the location in Rue Caroline, it's a better location. Yes.
So when you opened in July with the second location, this is where life really starts changing for you because. Okay, you grew up here, you married your husband here, and then you went off and lived in France and had all these adventures, came back, set up as an entrepreneur, probably thought at least for the next few years, I'm just going to stick along this entrepreneur path. But, I mean, there's so much that's happened in the last, let's say, 6 months. And I think it's quite fascinating for people to hear how it's all unfolded. So I said to you, you opened in July, how's it been? And your answer was, I've just been distracted since I opened the second place, but not because of work.
Yeah, exactly. It was unexpected and a bit disturbing because, in life you don't really plan things. And well, when I was supposed to open in July, my grandma passed away. And so,
Right.
yeah, thank you. And so, well, I went to her funeral, and so it was, yeah, we were very sad, obviously. And I reconnected with my aunt, whom I hadn't talked to in years because life happens and well, families.
Yeah.
And she actually told me that she had been given back a few years ago a cigar box containing a bunch of letters, and they were the last letters that my great grandparents wrote to my grandfather when they were taken to a camp and just before they were deported to Auschwitz.
So, I mean, how does somebody just say to their niece, "Hey, I found this box. Do you want it?"
No, actually, she saw that my father, he had a pins,
On his jacket.
on his jacket, and she saw it and she said, "Oh, what is it?" And he said, "It's a pins from Devoir de Mémoire. It's a local association in Monaco.
Called Devoir Mémoire?
Devoir de Mémoire. It's like duty of memory,
Okay.
And
What
so,
does the association do?
just they well, it's for people not to forget what happened during the war, and so they they have like reunions. They project films.
Really?
Yeah.
Regularly across the year, or is it sort of once?
Yes, they have many
Interesting.
events. Last year, they hosted a projection from. It was a Herbert Traube. He's like a local who lives in Menton, and he was like a resistance guy. And so
I love the resistance stories.
yeah, it was really fascinating. And so she saw the pins on my father's jacket, and he told her, "Well, I'm in the Duty of Memory Association in Monaco," and that's when she said, "Well, I have something I must show you." And she was looking for the cigar box, but we were all confused, and she couldn't find it. And then she sent me then emails, and I have the letters, the emails. I read the letters, and it was really a disturbing moment because I was it was a mix of feelings. I was at the same time I was excited because of the new place I was opening, but I was also completely shaken by the new,
Because it's real stories. It's not like you're watching a movie that's made on a concept. You're reading the real words of your own family.
Yes, it's my family, and I mean, it was
And you knew nothing about this.
No, it was given back to us like 75 years later. So for 75 years, we thought we had nothing left of our family because my grandfather was the only one to come back from Auschwitz. So yeah, we didn't know anything about it. So yeah, it was really confusing, and so I didn't really know what to do with it, but it was really distracting me. And
when you got this box, if I can ask you this question, because you know what's in it, like you understand the concept of there's letters in this box from your great grandparents. Do you just does it take you a while to open that box and start reading?
oh my God, yeah.
Really, what does it feel like to open that? Because I'm somebody so moved by written word in my life and history and family.
Well, I didn't get to hold the box because my aunt has it, and she doesn't live here. So when I came back, we texted, and I was like obsessed with the letters. I said, "Okay, it's like obsessing me. I really need to read the letters. Can you send me the letters?" And so they were exhibited at the Mémorial de la Shoah. And I know she's written a few things about the letters, and she's in a duty of memory groups too. So, and so she sent me the emails with the letters, and yes, it was it was really painful to read them. Yeah, and
is it possible to just not by sharing everything they said, but either what you felt or like the reality of their letters?
Yeah, that's it. That's the reality of their life. It was like they were in the camps. They really didn't know what was going to happen to them. They were missing and lacking a few things. Like they asked my grandfather to send him food, cigarettes. they asked my grandfather, and because my great grandparents were taken first, and they left the kids behind. So the kids were on their own.
How old were the kids?
My grandfather was 15, and his younger brothers were 8 and 10.
On their own?
Yes, well, under the surveillance of a neighbor. And and they were taken the next year, I think, or a few months after that. Yeah. So, yeah.
And the letters themselves, were they redacted? Were things written, crossed out? And
They were at first they were written on like a business paper from my great grandparents' company, which was Omerinos. It was like a knitting company.
Mm-hmm. It was a knitting company.
Yeah. Well, not really knitting, but they were selling. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because knitting comes up again for you.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly. Which I didn't know.
Oh
then.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And and they were asking them to behave, not to go to school, to be low profile, to like put on like clothes and not catch a cold, and yeah.
I mean, what else can you say, right? I mean, and do they seem optimistic, or is it just they understand what's about to happen to them, or?
No, I think they didn't understand what was happening. Probably my great grandfather, but they're saying there's nothing about deportation in the letters, but probably they knew. And my great grandmother was crying all the time. That's what's written in the letters. She was crying all the time.
What years are the letters?
1942, October. Yeah.
So how has this, you're saying you open a business and it should be something like you're on a bit of a high because you've just opened a new company and you're, building that and really invested in that mentally. But you've now got these letters from 1942 and that you admit you're obsessed with, the story.
Yeah.
So what's going on in your world of Sharon Eastwood in Monaco, from July and August, September?
Yeah, well, that's when I say I have to do something. I felt the urge to write the story. So I've been writing about the letters, doing some research, and trying to come up with a story to tell what was happening then. And
but it must have been really difficult and painful to read that. I mean, even if it wasn't your family and you were reading the firsthand letters of people that are suffering and going through that, it would be difficult. But you have that additional connection. How did you cope with that?
Well, I think writing was therapeutic, yeah, and it's been really helpful. So I'll see where it leads me. But yeah, it's really difficult. Honestly, it's reading the letters, I was in tears, and my God, it was.
Yeah, and you're writing their story.
Yes, their story, but now
it's different.
It's different.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because there's connections to that and what's recently happened, because your home burned down. And this has been, one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you and bring you on the episode is because so many people in our community have been reaching out to you, because there's the Aide Solidaire de Monaco, the Résidence de Monaco on Facebook, in English and French. Everybody's trying to help you. And I didn't want to bring you on because I'm trying to, profit off of something bad that's happened to you. Because I've known you for a long time. And I'm not that type of person. But I think it's the biggest fear of everybody. And watching the fires in LA at the same time, I think people have this in their head, like how would you get through that? And if you lose everything. So let's just go through this. And you've been amazing because you're willing to talk about that. So I thank you. Your home was on fire. How did you find out that your home was on fire?
Well, I found out about the fire because my mom called me. That was 2 weeks ago. And, she was in total panic and I couldn't...
She was in the house?
Well, she had just been evacuated from the house.
Okay.
But it was brutal because someone rang at the door and said, you have to come out, it's going to explode. And she just came out like the way she was dressed and she just left. And she called me and she was completely in panic, and she said, there's a fire. Well, I couldn't really understand what she was saying, so I said, I'll FaceTime you. And, well, she couldn't FaceTime, so, I FaceTimed her, and my husband was with me, and she showed me there was well, the house next door was on fire. So I showed my husband, and he just left. He ran, he left, and he said, "You stay put, you stay here, and I'll call you." And then he called me like not even half an hour after that, and he said, "Okay, you should close the shop and come because it's really."
I mean, how
terrible.
can you even live through that half hour? You must have just been in a state of panic with your mother.
My clients, I had some clients whom I knew, and they were like really, my God, it's terrible, and I was in tears, and that's when I called my friend Sebastian to come and fetch me and bring me there. And
I mean, I live close enough to, I didn't know you lived there, but I live close enough to you that when I saw the fire, we were worried that the wind was just going to pick up and everything was going to go. I had no idea that was your home.
Yeah, well, yeah, and
Sebastian picked you up?
Yes, actually, Sebastian came, and well, I called him. I was in tears and I was in shock, and actually, there's something. I mean, it might sound crazy, but he's a close friend, and in December, on the 12th of December, he called me. And he was upset, and he said, "Okay, I really need to say something to you because I had a dream about your mom, and she was caught in a fire, and it was really and she was burnt." So, I mean, it felt real. So,
And had he ever called you before about these kind of dreams, premonitions?
No, but I know that he had one. He had one about someone else, and it came true. So. And the way he talked about it and how he was really upset, I knew it was something real. So, well, what to do with this information? I was like, okay, should I call my mom? Should I not tell her?
This is mid-December.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was mid-December. And on the same evening, she was leaving to Paris to help my daughter. She's studying in Paris, and it was the exam period, so... And so she was taking a night train to Paris. And I said, okay, I would like to know. So I called my mom and I said, okay, I don't want to worry you or to scare you, but you should know that Sebastian had this dream. And in any case, if there's a suspicious smell on the train or, something unexpected or unusual, just be aware that he told me that. And, well, she was like, "Oh, my God, how can you do that to me?"
Thanks a lot.
And my husband was like, why did you even call your mom? She's going to be worried. And well, then it became kind of a joke in December. Anywhere she would go, and when she arrived somewhere, she would text us, "I've arrived, I'm not burned, there was no fire." So
It's amazing.
I mean, it's crazy.
Right.
And when Sebastian came to fetch me, he said, "Do you remember my dream?" And I had completely forgotten, and I was like, "Oh my God, yeah." I mean,
So he drives you. How close could you actually get at that point to the house?
The road was closed, but we explained that my house was on fire, and they let us go. And then I arrived just like the closest I could. Yeah.
And your mom was outside?
Yeah, she was outside.
So what happened?
Well, it seems that there was a gas leak between the two buildings. It's like city gas because we don't have gas in the houses. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
I mean, that's shocking.
Yeah, it is.
Because there had been renovations where you live. Again, I didn't know you lived there, but it's kind of by going down to one of the stairways down to the beach. So, I go down there a lot. And I was like, gosh, that house is beautiful. And they were painting it and all these things were happening. A lot of us just presumed it was faulty work or something like that. I had no idea there's no gas in there, and it's a gas leak from some of the work that was being done.
Yeah. Such
How
a shame.
fast did that happen then?
Well, really fast because when I got there, like half an hour after, the roof was beginning to be on fire. So, and then the roof collapsed, and it was really terrible to see the roof collapse in the garden,
And there was flooding.
and there was also flooding because the fire melted the water pipes from the city, so they're in PVC, and then we were flooded. And also we were flooded with the firemen, trying to,
This is a strange question maybe, but, what goes through your mind? Because you're in, obviously, your state of shock and you're panicking. but everything you own is there. It's not like, it's over and then you can go home and get a good night's rest.
Yeah.
What is going through your mind? Like, because you can't even get in the building.
Yeah, well...
And you have cats.
Yes. Well, my husband went immediately to get the cats out of the house when he arrived. So one of the cats was already out, like...
Escaped.
But the other one was inside. So yeah, he took her out, but she was so scared because there were detonations with the gas, and as soon as he passed the door, she escaped. And well, we're still looking for her, but we're confident that she's still coming back because the food now we put some food for her, and we're seeing it's being eaten. So. Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, your family is safe. Your daughter was safe. Your husband, your parents. But what's going through your mind?
Well, so many things. Well, first, obviously, we're safe, so that's the main thing. And my mom is safe because if it had blown, I mean...
No, you can't think that.
No. Yeah, but she thinks that now, and she has nightmares, and we have nightmares about it. We have nightmares about the roof collapsing, so it's...
With your daughter as well? Is she okay?
Well, no, she's okay. She's okay. She sprained her ankle last week, but I mean... probably due to the shock, but yeah, it's so many things crossing my mind. And then I think, yes, the fire, and I like to see signs in life, and I'm like, okay, it's probably a sign. And the gas leak, and I mean, it's terrible, but most of my family from my grandpa was gassed in Auschwitz, and I mean. And I started to see probably a connection with maybe the story I was investigating, my family history. And and also, well, seeing like a pattern, because, well, it's not the same. We're not in wartime, but we don't have any home. I mean, we lost the home and the house. And my grandparents on one side of the family, well, there was the deportation, and the other side, my mom, my grandparents were pieds noirs.
Wow.
So they were in Algeria, and they left everything they had in Algeria to come here during the war.
Yeah.
So it's like I was
that history.
Yes, and it became so like heavy, and I was feeling like, probably how could my grandparents rebuild something after all that? I mean, and this was wartime. It was worse. I mean, this is just a house. It burned down and it's going to be rebuilt. But how did they cope? How did they manage to? Well,
your grandfather, your great grandfather.
Yeah.
How did he?
My grandpa. I really don't know, honestly. Well, yeah, I don't know. But when he came back from Auschwitz, he went to. I think the camps. You could visit the camps. They reopened to the public in 1990 or 1991. And I remember, because I was like 8 or 9 at the time. 9 or 10. I remember hearing my parents say, he shouldn't go, and my grandma. And then he visited the camps. It was, I think, in November, and he died of sadness in January. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how has the fire, I mean, first, I guess just on one side, let's talk about how the community has reached out to you.
Yeah, well, it's really been heartwarming to see, well, so much support, and we've had messages, we've had an association contact us to help us, friends, people donate to help my parents.
And I just want to say, like, it's in English and French. I see what's going on, and you're one of the few people, I'm sure there's more, but that I have actually seen that are really a part of an entire community, not the Monaco side, not the international side, but everybody's reached out to you that I can see.
Yeah, well, I didn't really know what to expect, but I was like in such a state. I mean, I had to reach to ask for help and for my parents. And yeah, it was such a good surprise. I mean, and really seeing how close-knit the community is, it's... Yeah.
Well, you've also been a part of that community as well. You know, that's important to you.
Yes, I know, but you never know. I mean, when it happens to you, and you don't know how it's going to turn out. I mean,
do you find that because you can't go there, are there things? I mean, you don't have your stuff, so is it? you kind of are starting to get adjusted to life past the fire, and then you go, oh, it's not here. It's there. And
but you have to adapt. I mean,
and there's nothing that do you have like a feeling of like, people ask that question, oh, if my house is on fire, I'd take one thing with me. Do you feel like there's anything that you really wish you had with you? Are you okay with it all?
Well, on
in
the
that
night,
weird way?
On the night of the fire, because the firemen were there until 10 or 11 at night.
Fire.
It was a big fire.
Yeah.
It started at 2:00 in the afternoon. So.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I saw that fire.
So yeah. Well, when they had finished at 10:00 at night, the firemen said, "Okay, now it's safe. If you want to, well, safe. I mean, it's safer.
Yeah.
But we had to be very careful." And they said, "Okay," because my parents live upstairs and we live downstairs. So they said, "Do you want to go and get something in the house before it's closed? Because now we can't go because now it's closed and it's dangerous and there's
It's all fenced off.
Yeah.
Off the street. I mean, you can't even access it.
We can't access. But so I went in there to get a few clothes for my daughter, her school stuff. My
You went into the house the night of the fire
with the firemen.
Wow.
I mean, after, but
once the fire was out. Yeah.
and our part downstairs is not burned. Just the side is burned, but inside it's more like it was flooded upstairs. So we don't know yet. Well. What's
the damage?
The damage and what's in the walls, but we could go in the house. It's not burnt inside downstairs, and so I went, but like you have 5 minutes and you have to grab what you can. So I thought about my daughter, so I took clothes for her, her school stuff, because she's taking the back this year. So.
Oh, a little bit of pressure.
Yeah. And I took my grandmother's jewels because they're like really important. Not that they have
there's
value, but it's more sentimental value. And I took I have an envelope with some pictures because 20 years ago I did some research on my family, and I asked my grandmother to help me, and she gave me a few pictures she had from my grandfather and his little brothers before they were deported. So I took these pictures with me. Yeah,
because that's in your mind.
Yeah. I didn't want them to you never know.
Did you go upstairs to your parents' place?
My parents did on the night of the fire, and yeah.
So what happens? I want to talk to you a little bit about how this has impacted your story and the connections to your great grandparents, but. Just out of curiosity, like, do you just have constant paperwork right now? Is it just like, what happens after the fire? What do you have to do?
Well, yeah, it's life has to go on. You have to work, and you have to. Yeah, there's a lot of paperwork, but my husband, he's handling the paperwork. So yeah, it's the experts.
Because you can't move back for how long? Like, where are you going to live?
We don't know. Well, we're living with my father-in-law now, and my parents are staying at some friends, but they're moving to a rental in next week. So it's
because you don't know when you'll be able to move back.
No.
How has this then impacted what you've been reading about your grandparents and the story? Because you've really got into writing. Like, this is the dilemma with the shop. You were saying is like, you're there, but you're not there because your mind is really on this story.
Yeah. Well. I'm there, but yeah.
You're there. There is a business. Go there. Yeah, super. Sorry, I'm not trying to say she's got the door's open, but don't bother going.
No. But I mean, when there's when it's quiet, when there's like no one, my mind starts thinking about the letters, about everything, and it's always on my mind anyways. So I mean, even at night, because now I can't really sleep. So
how is it? How is this fire? Well, first of all, I mean, the premonition from Sebastian, and then this happening. How has it influenced the way you're writing and the story?
Well, because I didn't really know what I was going to do with the story at first. I mean, this summer, just it was more like a therapeutic writing. So it was like, okay, I'll just see where it leads me, and just to know about my family is helping. And yes, now I'm starting to see maybe there's a connection between the two events, and because it's like uncommon events. I mean, you don't expect such unusual things to happen. And I'm trying to connect the two stories. And I changed the point of view, and now it's from my point of view, and like the feelings and emotions and everything I've been through since then.
And the knitting. Talk about the knitting.
And the knitting, it's actually the red thread in the story, because I love to knit. And
you said you had knitting classes, not classes,
workshops,
but workshops at
yes.
the tea shop, which I'm ready to go to.
Yeah, it's I have a friend of mine from Lycée Albert Ier. She comes and she gives knitting lessons, and with not lessons really, but you learn how
together in community.
Yeah, exactly. And you have a cup of tea, and it's a really friendly environment. And,
but you're an advanced knitter. Let's just be clear about that.
Oh, well, advanced. I mean, my grandma was really advanced. I mean, she would knit all the time, and she had a knitting machine, and she would do such sophisticated sweaters and stitches, and like I'm big into knit. I mean, I've started knitting like 20 years ago, but I mean, it was always like easy knitting, like scarves and hats and beanies and well, when my grandma died this summer, I realized, I mean, why do you still knit the same things? I mean, it's so boring. And I said, okay, I should challenge myself, and maybe this was making me feel closer to my grandma. And so I really had the project of knitting a sweater. So I knit a sweater.
And how does the knitting then, like, so your great grandparents, they sold wool, how was the knitting with them?
Yeah, well, I discovered when I was doing my research and on the letters, because of the paper they used, that they had a shop called Au Mérinos, which, like, Mérinos is like wool.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mérinos wool, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, it's surprising. And yes, and well, I mean, since they had the shop, they sold probably wool and sweaters and jumpers on markets. So, I mean,
you feel connected to that.
Completely, and I didn't know about it. So it was like so surprising. And my grandma, of course, she would knit. She would knit jumpers for us when we were kids. So yeah.
Do you know now where your own story that you're writing? Do you know where it's going to take you?
Not really.
Do you know how it's going to end? How you're going to end it?
No, not really, because now I think I'm midway through the story, but I need to see where the fire adventure, I mean,
yeah, ongoing,
where it leads us. But I'm definitely connecting the two stories. Yes.
Is there anything you need from us, the community, to help you at this time?
Well, thank you, but yeah, no, not really. I mean, people have been so helpful, and. Yeah, we've had friends give us clothes, and yeah, it's just, for instance, yeah, my daughter yesterday, she texted me, and she was feeling sad because she loves to cook and to bake, and she would always bake cookies and treats.
My kind of girl, yeah.
Yeah, and so she was like, okay, I'd love to have the KitchenAid back and be able to cook and make the cookies and. So, well, she'll have to wait a little longer.
But life goes on, as you said, and you're somebody that you don't plan anything because maybe of the military life of your husband and things like that. Living away all those years, and what made you guys come back here to Monaco in the end?
Well, we felt it would be safer to raise the kids here in Monaco. I mean, they could take the bus, go anywhere they want, and be like...
I don't have children, so is that really something that is... in Monaco makes it unique?
Oh, yes. Yes, definitely. I mean, not that I didn't feel safe in Brittany, but or in Rennes, but I wouldn't let the kids at 6 years old or 7 years old take the bus on their own. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a larger city, so here it's easy to go around the city and take the bus, go to school, and go to the baker shop. I mean, yeah.
Then do you think this is where you're going to stay now?
Yes.
Even though you need a new home?
Yeah. No.
Monaco's your home?
Yes.
Well, I can't wait to see where the story takes you, even though it's an incredibly passionate and very tragic story in many ways. But I think you're someone that believes in the signs of life, as you said.
Oh, yes, exactly. I mean, there's like, it may sound crazy, but on the day of the fire, my mom, she just had texted me half an hour before, and she sent me, she had prepared, she was supposed to go out on the evening with a friend.
Like as an evening out.
Yeah. She was going out to the restaurant with a friend, and she had prepared her outfit for the night. And it was a black dress with a large red, embroidered in red, phoenix on the dress. So, I mean, I like to see signs. Probably it's nothing, but I mean, the phoenix, fire, bird, ashes, I mean...
You're taking that as a sign.
Yeah, I am.
I'll be interested to see where it takes you, Sharon. But thank you so much for coming on the Monaco Info podcast in English. Even though you're Monegasque,
yes.
I do think it's a fascinating story. And I'm really grateful for you opening up about that because it's not an easy subject. So thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.